So to say that no, look, I don't just need a job, but I need to understand I got health insurance. I don't even know where to go. It's been a year and I've never been to the doctor because I don't know the groups. The groups. I don't know who takes my providers. I don't know. Like I said, in the retirement planning, I don't know anything about it. I don't even know where to begin. I was barely able to get my contacts. It took me actually 3 months to get them. I was barely able to get my contacts. But as I said, it's not just finding employment, but it's understanding those small, soft things that come along with that. How do I ask for days off? I don't get paid vacations. I don't get time off. I don't build up PTOs and stuff like that. So if my family wants to take me on a vacation because I've been gone 17 years, how do I ask my employer for time off when I do construction and construction deadlines are critical? How do I do that? Do I lie? These soft things like that, the participants need to understand. It's easy for me to go in and lie to them and tell them, look, man, I'm sick, or my wife's sick, or my child's sick, etc. But that doesn't help them foster a relationship that will help them maintain employment. So sometimes those things need to be addressed and spoken to with the participants. I just had a little aha moment, as Oprah would say, that I've never heard that addressed before. I've never heard that addressed before. You hear the interviewing skills and the dressing skills, and you all have had the coat and the shoe drive and the stuff like that. I saw that a few months ago on the newsletter, and that's great. But what about when you get the job? You know, being able to have proper employee relations with your other fellow employees. Some of those things, what may fit into the aspects that Project Return may be able to help out with. Like I said, going back to my story, coming out, I didn't know how to do. Once I got insurance and I got health coverage and I got retirement packages and stuff like that, like I said, I still don't know what to do with some of that stuff. It's just in my house somewhere, bundled up in some drawer somewhere. The means of transportation, I know you all help with that, so I won't even really touch on that one because the individual has to be able to take some responsibility to do something for themselves. Emotional, mental, spiritual struggles that may not have anything to do with the scope that I can fit in, but just to give you that understanding. Spiritually speaking, I'm a spiritual man. Spiritually speaking, you got to have something to draw from. You got to have something that you can plug back into because society is pulling from you. You got new emotions that you're trying to figure out how to deal with. You got new feelings, etc., etc. Spiritually speaking, I haven't even been able to find a church that I can. It's not that I don't want to go and praise. It's not that I don't want to go and be fed. But in prison, a lot of guys are very well read, spiritually speaking. You get bombarded by a lot of different spiritual texts and religious persuasion. And in my case, I'm a hybrid. I used to say that I was an orphan, spiritually, religiously, ideologically, theologically speaking. I didn't come from a Catholic family or a Baptist or a First Presbyterian family. I used to say that I'm an orphan in that sense. You know, that there was no family home that I originated. Well, what did you grow up as? I grew up as a thug. I grew up as a street guy, you know. So that was my religion. That was my way of life. That was my faith. Those were my acts of devotion. So today, to find myself a spiritual man, but I'm a hybrid because I've been touched and persuaded by a lot of different persuasions. And to go to the church that feeds me the way that I want to be fed or the way that I need to be fed is very difficult to find that. So you find yourself feeling guilty because you're not part of a congregation, and you find yourself missing the fellowship of a congregation, but at the same time, I find myself not being hypocritical and sitting somewhere that doesn't feed me just to be there. I might love the praising and the worship, the praise aspect of it, but when it gets into the sermon, it doesn't feed. Maybe the sermon is meat, but the praising is it's an hour of praise that to me is bland. I'm a guy who has known struggle. I'm a guy who has known struggle. If you talk about God saves, then tell me how he saved you. Those are the kind of praise aspects I like. And forgive me if this is different from what you all expected, but you all wanted to know what it looks like. And at any given time, you all can feel free to chime in, ask, comment, etc. But for me, a guy who knows hardships and very deep struggle, because my struggle was that I grew up raising myself in prison. Do I let the murderer in the cell next to me raise me? Do I let the professional con man that's in the cell with me, my cellie, raise me? Do I let the child molester that's 3 doors down raise me? Or do I take it upon myself because my mother and father can't do it? I'm in prison now. So I have to find my own way now. And I have to take the good and leave the bad behind wherever I can. And I hope that I'm have enough intelligence and wherewithal, and God blesses me enough to actually discern if this is really good I'm bringing into myself. Or is this bad that I'm pulling in from this? It's like an umbilical cord on a mother. That's what prison is. Prison is a big wound. Sometimes they use the word WOND, a big wound, because it's full of infections, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. It's full of infections. And sometimes it's like a big wound, WOMB. And it's like a baby pulling from that umbilical cord. You know, you pulling in and feeding off of that mother. You're feeding off of the prison industrial complex. You're feeding off of the prison system. And if the mother's blood is tainted, then the infant that's being born and feeding off of that, his blood or her blood becomes tainted. So you find yourself pulling from the prison industrial complex, from the mentalities, the spirituality, the emotions of that place, the anger, the complexes, and the everything else of that place. And you hope that you're strong enough to discern that if you're pulling something in that's bad, to kick it back out before it takes root. And you're not always successful. Lord knows I haven't always been successful. These are some of the things your clients face. Education, I was told that, I said a month before my release, they gave me my assessment. They told me 3 things. Sometimes, I remember they told me I was uneducated because all I ever had was a GED. Mind you, I went to prison at the age of 16. All I got is a GED. I'm uneducated, therefore I'm unemployable, because I'm a 33-year-old man with just a GED. And I have no job history, therefore that adds to my unemployability. So they told me I was uneducated with no job history, therefore I'm unemployable. They told me that since I was not married and I have no kids, they told me that since the only family ties I have in this world are the ones I was born into this world with, they told me therefore I'm antisocial. You're not married? No, sir. You have any kids? No, sir. Do you have a fiance? No, sir. Oh, you are antisocial. Well, I've been locked up since I was 16, sir. Antisocial. So they throw these labels on you, and so they told me I was antisocial, told me I was uneducated and unemployable, and I always forget what the third one was. It must not really hit me hard, but if I remember those 2, trust me, those 2, they pissed me off. They pissed me off. And in my case, they asked me, they said, we want you to take pro-social life skills. And I told them I'm one of the most sociable individuals I know. I told them I'm also one of the most articulate individuals I know. And one of the most self-educated individuals I know. And what I don't know as far as job skills, I've always found myself being the kind of individual that if you put me in, I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 times, and after I ask you that 3rd time, believe I got it. Believe I got it. But they asked me would I take pro-social life skills, anger management, and some other class if they released me. Now, mind you, I'm constantly
Substance abuse.
substance abuse. Thank you, thank you. And they asked me would I take substance abuse classes and pro-social life skills and some other kind of class if they released me. And at this time, I have a 23-year sentence, and I've done nearly 17 years on it. And I could flatten in 2 years, and I told them no. I said, I'm not going to play your game. You weren't there to give me an outline. You didn't give me guidance. You didn't give me a program. You didn't give me a treatment schedule. The whole 17 years I've been here, and now you want me to jump through your hoops, and you want me to play your game so you can justify to your constituents and to the public and to your higher ups that we let him go with the justification, with the reasoning that he's going to take this and he's going to take that, so therefore he's a safe bet. No, you wanted to make sure I was a safe bet. You should have invested in me a long time ago. So I told him no. I'm not going to play your game, and I'm not going to take your programs. But thank God I'm here today. They didn't deny my parole because of that. But that's it, that just to say that a lot of the programs that we are aware of that are in prison, if the participants that you all deal with didn't take the time and the effort to actively engage in those programs, then 9 times out of 10, even if they have certificates, then they just was just pushed through it. Because in my case, if I'd have took the pro-social life skills and substance abuse classes upon release, it would have been me just playing the system. It would have been me just getting pushed through because I don't have a substance abuse problem. I don't like drugs because I'm a control freak. I had to be in my situation. It's one of those things, you choose the good from the bad, okay? Learn how to control yourself and your environment and keep people away from you if people represent this or people represent that, and keep yourself protected and shielded. So I learned to control my environment and everything that was moving around it. So for me to get high and use drugs, it takes the control away and I freak out. So I don't like to use drugs, but they wanted me to take it, so I would have went and played the game. So a lot of participants that you all deal with may not felt, even if they do have a substance abuse problem or anger control problem or whatever class they have taken, they might not have felt that they needed it. So they actually went through it, and you looking at an anger control management certificate or a substance abuse certificate, but they still, like I said, the word participant was so relevant because they have to participate in that process to heal themselves. And if they have not, then you meet the individual who's looking for employment that they have all the red flags that in 3 months they'll be let back reincarcerated. And you're spinning your wheels to help this individual find a job that you know or you assume, because some people want to leave behind assumptions and judgment, etc. You assume that this is all in vain. I was reading the Reentry and Employment, I forget the name of the organization, CSG or whatever, came out with it in September this year. It's strategies and something for reentry and employment for all the reentry agencies. And I was reading it early last week, and one of the most critical